Welcome. Comparative politics in postmodern period or post-behavioral period. In this lecture, we will discuss about the situation, the condition, the challenges in this very important phase of comparative politics, which comparative politics faced during this postmodern period. So let's start. Introduction. During the later 70s and 80s, number of theories and subjects matters. They emerged in the field of comparative politics against the existing theories of the modernization and developmentalism and behavioralism. So these theories included bureaucratic authoritarianism, system theory, and transitions to democracy, new liberalism, and the politics of structural adjustment, so on, so forth, and so on. So, the postmodern era challenged all the earlier established modes of the knowledge and understandings of behavioral periods. So, it claimed that social facts are social constructs. So, challenges to developmentalism and modernization. Uh, According to development, postmodernists, development of the value-free scientific and universal theories in social sciences is not possible. As such, there cannot be any universal concept. So, concept of good or bad. So different societies differ in their terms of their values, in their political systems, and everything. So the absence of certain set rules and universal standards in comparative politics was the hallmark. So it became very difficult for a researcher to compare and arrive to any conclusion. Scholars felt helpless, as such theories like postmodernism and relativism pointed the problems, but never come up with any solutions. So uh, comparative politics in the postmodern era is encouraged to abstain away from the ethnocentric or Eurocentric prejudices and presumptions. Towards the end of 70s, developmentalism and other approaches of modern era came under criticism for favoring abstract models, which flattered out differences among specific political, social, cultural systems in order to study them within a single universalistic framework. So these criticism emphasize the ethnocentrism of the models of modern period and focused on the third world in order to work out a theory of underdevelopment. So modernists stressed the need to concentrate on solutions to the backwardness of the developing countries. So the main challenges to developmentalism, which arose in the 70s and gained widespread attention, were dependency and uh, uh, corporatism. Now, dependency theory for the first one was dependency and the second was what corporatism. Dependency theory criticized the dominant model of developmentalism for ignoring domestic for ignoring their social factors or domestic class. And second one was international market and power factors in development. So dependency theory was particularly uh, critical of the foreign policy and multinational corporations, and struggle for the development of the already industrialized nations and that of the developing ones could no longer together. So dependency theory claimed that the development of the West had come on the shoulders and the cost of the non-West. So the idea that the diffusion of capitalism promotes underdevelopment and not the development in the many parts of the world has embodied in Frank's book or his work Capitalism and Underdevelopment in Latin America in 1967. So the wealth of some nations, underdeveloped Asia, the book of Caldwell's Wells in 1972. The Marxist thinkers criticized the dependency theory and explained the nature of exploitation of the surplus extraction. So the Marxist thinkers seized dependency not simply on national lines, but as part of more complex patterns of alliance between the metropolitan bourgeoisies of the core center and the indigenous bourgeoisie of the periphery satellite as they operated in a worldwide capitalism system. Corporatist approach. The corporatist approach criticized developmentalism for its Euro American ethnocentrism and indicated that there were alternative organic corporatist, often authoritarian ways to organize the state and state society relations. Next, increased importance of the state in postmodern comparative political system or analysis. So during, as we know that during 70s and 80s, number of theories and subject matters emerged in the field of comparative politics against the existing theories of the modernism or modernization, developmentalism, and behavioralism. So these theories included uh, uh, included bureaucratic authoritarianism, system theory, transitions to democracy, neoliberalism, the politics of structural adjustment, and so on. So the notion of political system remained quite popular as the core of political study till 70s. As we know that in 60s and even in 70s in Latin America and especially in Argentina, however, it was the popular slogan of the state that the state, however, remain the point of attention for those. In 80s, with the 80s, however, there has been a move away from general theory to emphasis on the relevance of the context. Comparative political analysis of 80s uh, put more emphasis on culturally specific studies. For example, Islamic studies, specific countries, for example, England, and even in institutionally specific countries with a specific regime. So, unity of study has been changed from grand systems and model building to specific context and cultures. Or the scale of comparison was brought down in postmodern period. So comparison at this at the level of smaller systems or regions, however, remained in existence. Next, this era focused on democratization, globalization, and the civil society process in 80s. What it was that globalization and other emerging trends and 80s led to the complete shift in comparative political analysis. The disintegration of Soviet Union or USSR brought into currency the notion that there is an end of ideological war with the end of communist ideology. Francis Fukuyama, in his article The End of History, which later became a book, The End of History and the Last Man, argued that the history of ideas had ended with the recognition and triumph of liberal democracy as the the final form of human government. So those prevails and the Western liberal and democracy emerged throughout the world and became a dominating theme and ideology to form governments. So most of the developed and developing nations adopted liberal democratic form of a government. Next was that in the phenomena of globalization in 1980s, the idea of the end of history was coupled with the another late 1980s phenomena, that was globalization. Globalization refers to a set of conditions, scientific, technological, economic, and political, which have linked together the world in a manner so that occurrences in one part of the world are bound to affect are to be affected by what is happening in another part of the world. So it may be pointed out that in this global world, the focal point or the center around which events move worldwide is still Western capitalism. Next was or is the concept of civil society. The concept of civil society has gained more importance in comparative politics or in comparative political analysis in the globalized world order. So, civil society was defined in terms of protection of individual rights to enter the modern capitalist world. According to an writer and scholar Mahante, comparative study of this period not only focused on development of market democracy but also focused on the various civil society activities like resurgence of people movements seeking autonomy, right to indigenous cultures, movements of tribal uh, Dalits, lower castes, and the women's movements and empowerment movements. So these movements reveal a terrain of uh, terrain of contention, whereas the interests of the capital are in conflict with the those. Uh, this and then comes the third world. The third world began to acquire a distinct character in comparative politics by the end of 70s. The Eurocentric discourse of social science and comparative politics gradually started to acknowledge various activities like youth uprisings, anti-war movements, similarly China cultural revolution, the third world countries, the emergence of the third world challenges to the validity and reliability of the study started since the beginning of the 70s. So comparativists increasingly started recognizing the peculiarities of Asia, the continent of Africa, and Latin America due to its colonial past and present encounter with the neo colonialism. So, that was the situation of the world during this very important phase. I hope you understand today's discussion. Thank you very much.